Hi guys, and welcome to Blind Strike Exotics. Today I'm going to show you how I set up my incubator. I feel like it is probably a foolproof way to incubate your eggs. I debated how I wanted to do it, and it was honestly daunting. I felt like as I got into the breeding hobby is how am I going to incubate eggs for 50 to 60 days. Typically it's around 58 days. But that scared the crap out of me. I had no idea how I was going to do that, how I was going to measure the humidity, how I was going to make sure the temperature was going to stay right at 90 degrees. It scared me. I didn't know what to do. But I actually found an awesome video from Garrett Hartle at Reach Out Reptiles, who happens to be an articulated python breeder that's actually here in Pittsburgh. And it gave me a lot more confidence. And after using it for my first clutch here, I just wanted to share a little wisdom with you guys and hopefully make the incubation process a little more carefree for you. All right, here it is. It's an igloo cooler. It's 120 quart, and really you can go with whatever size cooler would fit your needs. I knew that I was going to be breeding multiple snakes, so I wanted to use max capacity. It is filled with water, just enough to cover an aquarium power head, and I can show that to you here. It's right down there in the corner. And what that does is it keeps the water circulating at all times. Now with that water circulation, it also circulates the air in the incubator. You can see I have my clutch from my Lemon Blast female right there. She laid 8 eggs. One of them was a slug right away, but the other 7 look fantastic, and they probably should hatch in the next month or so. As you can see, the humidity is at 99%. The temperature was at 90% before I opened the lid here, but it's still hovering right at 89. And that's the other beautiful thing about setting up an incubator this way. It is filled with water, and that water is heated by an aquarium water heater. That has to be fully submerged, and it has a dial on it right up here in the corner. I don't know if you can see that little blue dial, and that lets you adjust the temperature of the dial. That's important because you need these eggs to incubate right around 90 degrees. So you have to control the heat of the water. And I have a second one over here for redundancy, but it also kind of helps probably keep the temperature a little more even across the aquarium. So the other thing I did is I made a frame from PVC pipes, which you can see running along here. And what that does is it holds up this light diffuser, which you can all get at your local home goods store, Lowe's or Home Depot, and you cut it to fit into the incubator. Why I'm saying I feel like this is foolproof is because as long as you have the water heated to the correct temperature to keep the eggs incubating at 90 degrees, even if you lose power, for a couple hours, that body of water is going to stay close to the appropriate temperature to keep those eggs at 90 degrees for quite a while. I don't know exactly how many hours. I definitely am not going to test it out, but because it's in the cooler, it's going to keep that water hot for a while. And that's the most important thing about incubating these eggs, is making sure that the temperature is consistent. The other beautiful thing about this is you really don't need to worry about making sure that your substrate in these egg boxes has been mixed properly to prevent your eggs from getting moldy. All I did was I took some perlite, which is the white substrate down here, and I just kind of sprayed it down with the hose real quick to get all the dust out of it, and then I cut up some light diffuser and placed it on top of it. And it doesn't matter how wet that substrate is, because the hot water in the bottom of the cooler and the circulation of the water, which also circulates the air, keeps the humidity levels pretty much at 100% the whole time, which keeps the eggs from sitting in wet substrate, but it keeps the humidity needed to prevent the eggs from desiccating and drying out. Now, I purchased these shoe boxes from Amazon during lockdown, so I wasn't able to find the perfect shoe box. These don't fit in here as well as I'd like them to. I can probably fit 3 across the bottom there, and I can only fit 2 on top, because if I stack them like this, the lid won't close on the cooler, so I have to actually stack 2 across like that. I'm not going to worry about it this season because I only have 6 total females that I was trying to breed, but I would assume that you could fit at least 6 shoe boxes in a 120 quart cooler like this, possibly 8 if you could squeeze another one in there on the bottom. So you can get 8 clutches of eggs in one cooler, and it takes very minimal modifying. I did drill some holes in the side here at one point, as you can see in the back there, and here in the front, and I covered up with tape because I actually don't think I needed them. I open the lid here once a day just to check to make sure everything's alright and make sure there's no eggs going bad, and that's really enough air circulation for these eggs. The 3 from my first clutch, the Super Mojaves, looked perfect from the time I got them in the incubator, in the egg box, to the time they hatched. And that makes it a lot easier on you as a breeder. As far as the electrical wiring, all I did was for the power head and the 2 aquarium heaters, I just ran the cables up the corners. I didn't even need to drill holes for it on the outside of the hinges here. And that's it. I mean, the lid closes and it's still able to latch without an issue, which keeps all that heat and therefore the humidity in there. Every once in a while, every day when I open this, there's quite a bit of condensation along the lid there. Some of it drips down and some of it drips out the back here through this hole. So every once in a while I check the water level to make sure that it is covering the power head, because you don't want that to be coming out of the water, or else you're going to have issues with the circulation. Just dump, like a bottle of water in there just to make sure the water level's okay. But this thing has been running for probably close to 80-90 days at this point, since my first clutch was laid back in the start of April, and the power head's still running good, the heaters are still running good. I have actually even have it attached to a little battery backup unit here, just in case the power goes out. It helps protect against surges, first of all, but it should keep the heating elements and the water circulating for at least up to 15 minutes. Now, as far as the materials go, I bought the cooler, I believe, off Amazon. It was, I think, well under $100. I also bought the power heads and the water heaters off of there as well. The egg crate, the light diffusion egg crate that was used to hold up the boxes, and the PVC pipes, Home Depot and Lowe's. The shoe boxes, which is the part that I'm still not 100% happy with, is something you'd probably need to look for, measure out, or test 1 or 2 to see what fits best into the cooler that you purchase, because you really want to try to maximize that space. I purchased 1 light diffusion panel. I believe it was 4 by 8 feet. It was big enough to fit that entire cooler once I cut it down, and there was enough scrap left so that I was able to cut up at least 7 or 8 extra pieces to fit inside of shoe boxes, so the eggs can sit on top of that rather than sitting directly on the substrate, which is a kind of another barrier to keeping them from sitting in wet substrate, which helps them from going bad and from getting moldy, helping you not lose any more eggs than you need to in the incubation process. Alright, that's it for today. Hopefully I gave you really good information. Hopefully I covered all my bases as well. If you have any questions, please comment below. Let me know. Let me know if you've tried this out. Let me know if you think it isn't a superior method. But so far, I know I've only used it for 1.5 clutches. But I honestly think even when I start breeding more females, and I have a lot more clutches coming probably next year, I'm probably just going to buy a second cooler to make sure I have enough space, rather than doing the traditional incubation method, which is popping all the eggs into like an old small refrigerator and putting heat tape up the side of it. I just think this method is probably the way to go for most people. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Please like and subscribe, and have an awesome day.